Did you ever imagine that somewhere on Earth, there could be an invisible wall, not made of stone or metal, but something far more mysterious? A boundary that no animal, no bird, and no fish can truly cross. Sounds like fiction, right? Almost like a story from a movie, but it's real. Today, we're going to a place that feels like nature itself has drawn a secret line, dividing life into two completely different worlds. This invisible border exists between two islands in Indonesia, Bali and Lombok. And the most shocking part, even though humans can cross this distance easily, most animals simply cannot. It's as if nature itself is drawing a silent boundary that no living creature dares to break. When you travel from Bali to Lombok, you don't just change location, you feel like you've stepped into another world. The forests, the wildlife, even the ocean life, everything feels suddenly unfamiliar. And this raises a powerful question. What is stopping life from crossing just 35 kilometers of water? The answer isn't magic. It's something far more powerful and ancient, a natural force that has silently separated these two worlds for millions of years. To understand this mystery, we have to go back in time, around 150 years ago. A British naturalist named Alfred Russel Wallace was the first person to notice this invisible divide. At that time, he had no idea that what he discovered would become one of the most important biological boundaries in history. But what exactly is this invisible line? And why does nature still obey it today? Let's travel back in time and uncover the hidden story behind this mysterious boundary, the Wallace Line. This discovery would one day shock the entire world. But behind it, there was a man, and a life story filled with struggle, curiosity, and silent determination. Alfred Russel Wallace was born into a modest family in England. From childhood, he wasn't surrounded by luxury or comfort. What he had instead was curiosity. A deep, restless curiosity about the natural world. But life didn't make it easy for him. Financial hardship forced him to leave formal education early. While other children continued studying, Wallace had to step away from school and join his father, a cartographer, someone who drew maps of the world. At that moment, it may have felt like his dreams were ending. But in reality, it was just the beginning of something far greater. Because while traveling with his father, Wallace was quietly learning the world in a different way. Not from books, but from nature itself. Forests, rivers, insects, birds, everything became his classroom. He began collecting specimens, observing life closely, and slowly building a mind trained to see what others ignored. Then came 1854. A journey that would change everything. Wallace traveled to Lombok Island, just about 35 kilometers away from Bali. A short distance, yet what he discovered there felt like crossing into another world entirely. Everything was different. The animals, the birds, even the smallest creatures felt unfamiliar, almost as if nature had rewritten itself on the other side. He stood there, confused and deeply moved at the same time. How could two places so close be so different? That question didn't just stay in his mind, it stayed in his heart. Because something about it didn't feel random. It felt intentional, like a silent boundary drawn by nature itself. And that thought began to grow slowly, day by day. But life tested him again. Soon after, Wallace fell seriously ill. Weak, isolated, and forced into long periods of rest, he had nothing but time and his thoughts. And in that silence, something extraordinary happened. Memories of Bali and Lombok kept returning. The strange difference between their animals. The invisible separation. The unanswered question. And slowly, painfully, a realization began to form. Not as a sudden idea, but as a feeling that grew stronger every day. This was not coincidence. This was a pattern. A hidden structure in nature. 3 questions kept haunting him. Why don't animals from these islands mix? Why can't even birds freely cross this invisible boundary? And why are the ocean species so completely different on each side? The more he thought, the more it felt like there was only one explanation. Something unseen was shaping life itself. And in that quiet, uncertain moment of illness and reflection, Alfred Russel Wallace began forming an idea that would soon change the way the world understands nature forever. Wallace believed something truly extraordinary, something that, at first, felt almost impossible to accept. He proposed that Bali and Lombok were once part of a single connected landmass. Long ago, in a world that looked nothing like today, Asia and Australia were not distant, separate worlds. They were once connected, like one continuous living Earth. But then, slowly, everything began to change. Over millions of years, the Earth shifted in silence. No sound, no warning, no sudden moment that people could notice. Just time, reshaping everything. As temperatures changed and sea levels rose, the land began to break apart. Oceans expanded gently but relentlessly, pulling the world into pieces that once belonged together. And what remained was separation. According to Wallace's theory, the animals of Bali belonged to the Asian world, creatures like elephants, tigers, and countless species that spread across the Asian mainland, carrying with them the story of that land. But Lombok feels like another reality entirely. Its wildlife reflects a different branch of life, closer to Australia. Kangaroos, koalas, and even the Komodo dragon represent a separate evolutionary journey, as if nature wrote 2 different stories on 2 sides of the same sea. A slow, heartbreaking division of land. When ancient continents drifted apart, forming islands, oceans, and worlds that would never fully reconnect again. And when Wallace realized this, it didn't just change his theory. It changed the way he saw life itself. Because suddenly, Earth was no longer a fixed place. It was alive, breathing, shifting, changing, even in this very moment. Today we know that Earth is constantly moving, tectonic plates drifting slowly, reshaping continents over unimaginable time. But in Wallace's era, this idea felt almost beyond belief. Yet somehow, he saw it before anyone else did. He understood that it wasn't only animals that were separated. It was entire worlds, entire ecosystems, entire histories, quietly drifting apart in silence. And the most emotional truth of all? There was never a dramatic moment when it happened. No disaster. No visible break. Only a slow, invisible transformation, so patient, so quiet, that life itself didn't even notice when it became divided forever. It cannot be seen with the naked eye. Yet for those who study nature, ecosystems, and wildlife, it feels as if this invisible wall can almost be touched, like a boundary that exists beyond sight, but not beyond understanding. And Wallace's realization was nothing less than revolutionary. A breakthrough that changed an entire era. His theory was so deep, so powerful, that it forced humanity to rethink the natural world from the very beginning. Nothing could be taken for granted anymore. Because suddenly, a simple question became a profound mystery. How can just 35 kilometers of ocean create such a complete separation between life on both sides? Think about it. Only 35 kilometers. A distance that feels so small on a map, yet so absolute in reality. On one side, animals, birds, and marine life belonging to one world. On the other, completely different species, following a different evolutionary path. And yet, none of them cross. Not freely. Not naturally. It is as if something unseen stands between them, not a wall of stone, but a wall written by nature itself. And Wallace's observation made one truth impossible to ignore. This was not random. It was not accidental. It was a pattern carved by time, geography, and evolution, working silently for millions of years. A hidden boundary so powerful that even the smallest creatures obey it without ever knowing it exists. And that realization didn't just answer a question. It opened an entirely new way of seeing the world.